Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everyone everywhere, depending on where and when you are watching. It is a warm, bright, beautiful sunny day outside my door. What's it looking like outside your door? Sexual harassment and bullying is on the rise. But in this day of social media and the network and the internet, many giants are falling as fast as they are rising. How many women and men have suffered as a child or a young adult, have become drug abusers, they're on the street being promiscuous because of the trauma that they have suffered at the hands of a sexual predator? What is the psychological effects of such harassment and bullying? I am your co-host, Ambassador Lisa Parks, and welcome to Africaonline TV. Now, if you're tuning in on Facebook and you want to become a part of the conversation, come on over here to Zoom. The ID number is 514-199-854. That's 514-199-854. And now for the editorial of the day with my co-host, Nia-san. Take it away, my brother. Welcome. Not welcome. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, and honored to know that you are back and looking as sparkling as a recently mined diamond. Welcome on board again. Greetings to all our participants, all our audience, and please, you're always welcome to Africaonline Media Corporation. It is Sunday, August the 28th. It is the 240th day of the year 2022 on the Gregorian calendar. There are therefore only 145 days left until we see another year. So always count down with me on Sunday. We have 16 holidays listed for August 28, but we will not be talking about most of those holidays. Be it known that August 28 is the National Red Wine Day. Did you know that? National Red Wine Day. That is, if you live in these United States of America, you may want to have a sip. Well, not right away, probably at dinner after the program. Do you remember this day, August 28, 1963? It was that day, in that year, 1963. The location was we will read on. So, Dr. Martin Luther King, you remember him? Yes. It is that day, back in 1963, that Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." That speech. The gathering was in Washington, D.C. It was a speech, a civil rights speech at that memorial, that is the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. 200,000 people had gathered. And the speaker, the main speaker, was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Remember, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Yes, today, fairness seems to be continuously eluding us as we tackle one or other of those social ills that we encounter, that we meet every day. We try to make sure that we live the dream, but so much happens to make us feel like that dream is eluding us. So today we return to sexual harassment and bullying. They are two on the same coin of those things that elude us, that make us feel as if we do not belong, but we are here to stay because we are children of this world. It is Social Justice Day, if I can deviate a little. It is Social Justice Sunday, observed every year on this last Sunday of August. This year's commemoration falls today, therefore, on the 28th, and especially in a place called Down Under, that is in the continent that is farthest away from you and I. It is called Australia. So on that day, bishops in that country issue a joint statement that specifically and practically invites everyone to remember that since 1940, the bishops of Australia have always invited their people to know that social justice is for one and for all. So, truth be told, we are not going to that, but last week we admitted that both sexual harassment and bullying are unfortunate bedfellows, rendering victims uncomfortable and diminished, and emboldening perpetrators if not checked. Considering the social impact of sexual harassment and bullying in general, we therefore deemed it necessary to have a follow-up, a sequel, if you may, on the topic sexual harassment and bullying. This time around, that is today, we are inviting you to join us to talk about the psychological impact of this double-edged, double-headed monster, which has continued to harass and to make us feel uncomfortable depending on how we feel at that time. And of course, it causes havoc in our various communities. What then is the psychological impact of sexual harassment and bullying on victims in particular? What can society do to not only curb such practices, but to totally eliminate it or eliminate them from our society? As always, Africaonline Media Corporation, unscripted in its discussion every Sunday, is to share your thoughts and our thoughts on the topic. Our lead-off question is, what is the psychological, or rather, what is psychological harassment, and how does it factor into sexual harassment and or bullying? What do sexual harassment or bullying do to their victim or victims? As a follow-up, therefore, we want to know what we understand when the word psychological is mentioned. Has it got anything to do with one's mental state of mind, or is it just another descriptor of our being? In today's discussion, we look forward to understand or better understand what psychological or psychology in the first place means and what the psychological impact of something happens to be. Have these things anything to do with the person's state of mind? Are they just words, or are they things that mean more than just words? We will now turn to the chair of Africaonline Media Corporation, Reverend Pam, as she welcomes all of us, especially our guest, who is not a guest because he's a member of the team, to the discussion. As always, it is unscripted. Feel free to chime in and have your word or say your word. Reverend Pam, are you welcoming us today?
Yes, thank you so much, Nia Song, and our beautiful ambassador who has been missing for 3 weeks, and we are protesting. Sister Ruth and myself are protesting. Sister Deborah is protesting. Nia Song is not protesting. You know, women like drama. That cannot happen again. That was cruel. That was unusual. Don't do that to us anymore. I apologize if you hear noise in the background. I'm on the road. I moved into another room, but there's still loud people in the background, so please forgive me. I'll mute after this. You are all welcome. Dr. Nicholas Santos is not a guest. He is part of this team. Even the topics, you know, this ones came from him. He preempted it. We have discussed these topics in the past separately, never combined them. And as our medical topic today, we do a medical topic the last Sunday of every month. We've been doing that for 6.5 years. We are discussing the psychological impact of, bullying and sexual harassment. So you're welcome. I see our beautiful sister, Dr. Martha from across the Atlantic. She's on. Thank you so much. We know it's late over there, but thank you for pressing your way in. And we are looking forward to hearing your take on this. For all our viewers on behalf of Africaonline Media Corporation, I want to especially welcome you. And I want to take a minute now to ask all our viewers and all our team members to pray that Nia Song will continue doing this show even after he retires. Nia Song, the day you stop doing the show, we're not going to continue. I just want you to know that. I'm not putting pressure on you, but there's no duplicate. You cannot be duplicated. So even when you retire from work, you have to continue this. You know, we need that brain power. We need more people to learn from you. And you have no option. The only way you're not going to be on this show is if you're in heaven with Abraham. You know, so I just want you to know that. I'm saying this on the air now. So that way, you know, you can't even think it. This is not, there's no retirement here. There's retirement from school, but this one is brain sharing. So thank you so much. I am going to go on mute and hand over to Ambassador Lisa.
Before she does, can I just say that Reverend Pam, Nia Song may not be retiring, but as the number of grandchildren keeps increasing, he will have less time to be on the program because the grandkids are the ones now controlling the show and making Nia Song either be able to sit up and write something or not write something at all, or not even come on the show because they will be scrambling or scratching grandpa all over the place and wanting help.
Anyway, tell them they need to come on the show. And since today is the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, all of us here are dreaming that Nia Song will continue. He will,
yes.
God will help him manage the grandkids. You can bring the grandkids on the show. So maybe we should do a show on grandpa. Madam Ambassador, we need to do a show on grandparents. We need to do that because grandparents, they spoil the children. So Madam Ambassador, please put that in the queue. We need to do a show on grandparents, and we also, grandparents versus parents. We need to do a show on that. And then Sister Ruth, we still have to do a show on family.
Yes, I'm still working on Ruth Chef. Families with 10 more.
Ambassador Gracie, you're welcome. Over to you, Madam Ambassador.
Thank you so much, Reverend Pam. I have missed all of you as well, but trust me, it was not a picnic while I was away. I was not somewhere vacationing just to get away from you guys. I was equally as busy, but we're not gonna take up much time. This is a continuation from last week. Dr. Nicholas, welcome. I always enjoy hearing from you. We're talking about the psychological effects of sexual harassment and bullying. So as Nia Song alluded to, let's talk about what the psychological effects are. Dr. Nicholas.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Africa Media Corporation. It's been a pleasure again joining you guys today live, especially as last week I was on an emergency work out of state and couldn't join. I apologize for that. And I'm here today to address the psychological effects of sexual harassment and bullying. As we know, anything that has to do with psychological has to do with the unconscious, the studies of the unconscious activities that happens within the human being. When we mean unconscious, we mean things that affects the mind, the neurotransmitters, things that also affects our soul as human beings, and the things that leads to that determine our state of functioning, other than the physical effects. When we talk of the physical effects, we talk of medical conditions, and we will talk about the unconscious activities or processes. We talk about the mind, the personality, the anxiety, as well as the mood of that human being. So psychological now will turn to mean that things that affect the neurotransmitters of the brain, because the brain is wired like electrical circuits, that when one of the cables get affected, then it means that the entire human body feels that impact. So, and we have many of those neurotransmitters. Each of them are responsible for an executive functioning. The information that leaves the brain communicates to the various parts of the body and determines how that human being gonna feel. For example, we get depressed. We get depressed because the hippocampus and the hypothalamus, which are the neurotransmitters responsible for that particular stress regulation, are affected by an activity. So our depressed states or our stressful levels come from the shrinkage of the hippocampus and the hypothalamus. And then we also have anxiety. Then we have sleep. Our sleep, in which we talk about insomnia or hypersomnia. You will either suffer excessive sleep or shortage of sleep. We also talk about post-traumatic stress, which means a replicative effect or an aftermath effect of the happening on you. So as a result of being bullied or as a result of being sexually harassed, you may feel some of these things. You may feel shame, you may feel guilt, you may feel embarrassed, you may suffer anxiety, you may find yourself isolating. And when you're isolating, we talk about you developing avoidance personality or becoming antisocial or withdrawal or withdrawing. Some may become suicidal as a result of that, think of killing themselves. So this is to tell you some of the effects. I don't want to go too deep, but at least in a nutshell, I've introduced what it means by the psychological. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santo, and welcome back as always. We did not miss you totally last week. You were able to chime in for a while, but I want just to stress that we should not be stressed when we have problems or distress or stress when we have those challenges of bullying or of sexual harassment. Just go eat some dessert. Spell it backwards, spell it forwards, stressed, desserts. So please eat some desserts and keep yourself happy. Don't let the bully or let that sexual harasser make you feel uncomfortable. Be yourself. And Dr. Santo.
No, Niason, yes. Hold on. You are saying that they should go get desserts. Do you know that desserts will cause weight gain and they will go into other stress because of extra weight? Please. We are not advising people to go get desserts. I know he's playing with words. I know stress is spelled backward is dessert. Please, yes. Unless your dessert is fruit or salad, please.
I was saying eat desserts without the what is it? All those conditions, condiments that they put in them. Just the greenery of it all, the fruits and the vegetables without adding things.
Okay, good. All right.
Yes. Okay, let's go, Ambassador. Okay, let's go to Sister Ruth.
I'm sorry, don't we have another guest? Is Dr.
No, we're all guests.
Dr. Mata. Dr. Mata is on.
Oh, Dr. Mata from across the ocean.
Yes.
Hello, Dr. Martha. You are from across the ocean. It's getting late for you, which is not recommended because we may be harassing you by making you stay up late. So what is your take on the psychological impact of these?
She's muted.
Yes, and tell me where you're calling from, where you're from over across the ocean.
No, she doesn't need to give her zip code. She just need to give, we just need to know she's across the street. Because, let's not ask for a specific zip code.
Please, what is it? You are muted. Unmute yourself. Reverend Pam, she's okay. No, wait a minute. She disappeared instead.
Can you get me?
Now we hear you.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Tai, you're on now. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish to add to what Dr. Santos has said. He has really touched on all those aspects that will affect you, especially the mind. These are things that are very difficult to control. You try sometimes to be strong. You can even take a dessert, but it will not be of any good to you. It's just like taking alcohol to run away from your problems. And when the alcohol plays, you return to them. So these two topics are really two sides of the same coin, because if we look at the psychological effects of bullying and sexual harassment, they look the same. You take a case of rape, for example, in sexual harassment, and you take a case of a child whose appearance is ridiculed. You will find things like depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, Reverend Pan was talking about weight loss or weight gain, nausea, low self-esteem, sexual dysfunction, decreased morale. If you are working, poor interpersonal relationships, physical and psychological distress, and even if it's a student, you have poor performances and dropouts from school. There are even cases where the person may suffer from headache to the extent of even having high blood pressure and diabetes. So all those aspects of self-harm, the feeling of suicide, the feeling, it goes as far as even pushing you to commit homicide. You could hear cases of maternal death and even death from diseases like HIV, AIDS, because someone was raped, for example. The bully also suffers from low self-esteem, being ridiculed or your personality makes you to be withdrawn, to distrust the people around you, because the picture that you have of yourself is, first of all, doubtful even to you. You have very low self-esteem. You cannot speak in the midst of your peers. You cannot be confident. So it has a lot to do with your person, your being generally. It is distorted when you go through bullying or sexual harassment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Lisa.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Martha. Appreciate that. So we've talked about what psychological actually means, but how can we reverse? Let's talk about how we can, first of all, accept the fact that these things are happening to us. How do we recognize it so that we can reverse the effects of the harassment and bullying? I've always had very strong, I was raised with very high self-esteem. Things didn't really, look, that's like water off a duck's back. It rolls off my back. I was never given to peer pressure. I always pressured my peers. So I don't have, I can't understand people who give in to bullying, especially cyberbullying. How do you bully me to the computer and I'm going to commit suicide because of something you said? You didn't hit me or anything like that. So I need some help so I can help others in this area.
Okay, let me weigh in real quick. Let me just jump in real quick before the experts come in. Somebody said sticks and bones can break, sticks and stones can break their bones, but words cannot. Words are dangerous. The tongue is a hydrostat. It doesn't even have a bone, but it can break bones. So you may not understand this, but damage can be done to people psychologically. I'm not a psychologist, or mentally, that would drive them to go commit suicide or to kill themselves or to go into depression. It happens. We all know the enemy, the devil, works in the mind. And when we say mind, the mind is the center for your reasoning, your thoughts, your emotions, your wills. These are the areas that these people attack. And most human beings operate in the soulish realm. They don't operate in the spirit realm. So when you see these kids go and commit suicide, it's not their spirit telling them, it's their soul. It's because the bully or the perpetrator or demons have overshadowed their mind or got through to them. We've also heard about the idle mind being the devil's workshop. The mind, it's a very delicate part of a human being, the soul realm. And people can destroy you. They can damage you they can kill you without even using a bullet, by destroying your very being, making you feel worthless, making you feel like you don't even deserve to be on this earth. There's a true story that happened in this country with a girl texting her so-called boyfriend at the time and telling him to go commit suicide, pushing him until that guy did it. So I want to say it's because they get to the mind. Let's hear from Dr. Santos, Dr. Martha, and the rest of them. Sister Grace is here.
Yeah, when we look at the psychological effects and we see how devastating it can be on a human being. We ask ourselves the most important question of how can we stay away from all this? Staying away from all this will mean that we have to take precautions towards being victims. For example, sexual harassment most of the time can be avoided by choosing sensibly the environments whereby you can choose your environments where you associate, and also choose the type of dressing or the type of clothing you put on. Some activities do encourage this. For example, if you find yourself in a gay club or in certain nightclubs where some excessive amusements are allowed, you stand a very high chances of that. Also, if you are used to being outdoor at late hours in the night in areas that are not safe, you stand a very high chances of that. In school, there are certain workplaces, there are certain clubs, or there are certain social groups that some individuals belong, that they have their ways of behaving that for them, such activities that can be considered harassment in other subsets to them is a new normal. If you are belonging to such groups, it's but normal that sometimes they may do things that they may consider not being aspects of sexual harassment. So if you know, or to be before war is before arm, when you know such environments and you get yourself involved, you should expect the outcome. Also, the same thing like bullying. Bullying is also a practice in some places, in some schools, in some groups. In Kasbambili, we used to have, when we were in high school, we used to have what we call la voix. La voix was like the breaking news of gossiping and shaming individuals for certain activities in school. We used to involve ourselves in those groups whereby people will mask their faces and read the news from the high rise in the evenings without disclosing their voices or without making their identities known, shaming an individual. That was really bullying. It was bullying. Today, we have what we call cyberbullying, which I talked about last week, like cyber stalking, cyber streaming, and other forms of bullying, which takes place usually on social media, and also traditional bullying that takes place, like actually scolding someone physically or face-to-face. Yeah, so when we look at all those things, we say sometimes it can be avoided. It can be avoided by you choosing wisely where to belong, but there are some that are unavoidable. For example, if you're a co-worker, because of seniority at job site, decide to sexually harass a junior staff, be it male or female. At school, if you talk of sexually transmitted grades, as I heard about you guys last time in the show, whereby teachers will harass students in exchange for grades and marks. Some of these things can be avoided by schooling those individuals to understand when they feel their aggressor is about to aggress or harass them, or someone is about to bully them, and they make necessary steps to avoid belonging to such environments at that particular time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
turn
you.
to
Yes.
Sister Ruth now. I think we let
I am sorry,
Dr.
real quick.
Reverend go ahead.
Real quick, before we get to Sister Ruth and the others, and we haven't heard from Ambassador Gracie too. Since Dr. Santos brought up this La Voix in Cas Bambili, I was in Cas only for 3 months, then I moved to CPC Bali. But there is something that they used to do in the secondary schools called cottontail, fox. You know, where when Form 1 students come, Dr. Mata is laughing, he knows what I'm talking about. When students come in Form 1, I think here they call it hazing, but in Form 1, there will be one night where they call cottontails, and they put them through all kinds of stuff. And then also when a new administration comes in, like when the new officers of Form 5 come in, now they revenge on they basically harass the people behind them. So I would like Dr. Santos to address that, and Dr. Mata. I know Dr. Mata needs to also address something else, but since he brought this thing up about La Voix, I thought about the cutting tail. So Dr. Santos, first of all, did they ever cut your tail, and did you ever cut anybody's tail?
Yes, Reverend Pam, that's a good one. You've taken me back to a Longla Comprehensive College in the days of my me moving to Longla Comprehensive College in the dormitory. First, I went to Bobson Bilingual College. Bobson Bilingual College used today St. Paul, which is a missionary school today. In those days, it was owned by Christian Bongwa from Mendankwe, who used to be a minister. Bobson Bilingual College in Kwenda, that's where I did my Form 1 and Form 2. And then when I was about to go to Form 3, I passed, I think I was the third in the class of 25. Then I told my mother that I wouldn't continue Form 3 in Bobson Bilingual College because when they were reading the GCE, I had passed in 9 papers 0, passed in 10 papers 0, passed in 8 papers 0, passed in 7 papers 0, passed in 6 paper 1, pass in 5 paper 2, and pass in 4 paper 5. I told my mother that maybe even if the teachers write the GCE themselves, they will fail. So there's no need for me to continue here. My mother had to sell everything that she had just to make sure that I go to her soul recipes, just to make sure that I go to Longla Comprehensive College. So my mother took me with her. We trekked through the bush paths. And then we went from my train when we went through Tambesi. From Tambesi, we descended down through Musang, passing through GPHS, right down into Longla. We arrived Musang. From Musang, went into Longla, which is around Rendezvous. From there, we met Mr. R.K. Abraham, the Indian guy who was the principal. For those who know this story about the Indian guy who was the principal. When R.K. Abraham saw me, I was a very small guy, very small. I was not like growing correspondingly with my age, no matter this big skin I just put on now. I was very small.
Processed foods.
He said this guy was very, 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 very. R.K. Abraham said, but Mom, my mom said, yes, but your son is very intelligent. This small short man like this is the number 4 out of 28, 30 in the class. He said, yes. He said, just go and pay the school fees. When my mother went to pay the school fees, my mother said, now she's going to pay the school fees. Where am I going to live? I said, Mama, I must go to the dormitory. So that she paid my school fees in the dormitory. In that dormitory, I went to Mengot. The dormitories had names. Precisely, it was Mengot Dormitory. In Mengot Dormitory now, I was a very small man. I was given a bed up at the bunk bed up. They said, I'm a fox. So the fox has to sleep up. And all the big guys, huge guys from 4, from 5 have to take the down space. All the young, small guys from 1, from 2, from 3 have to go up. And from there, you are the small of someone who you have to do some chores for. You have to carry water that he has to bathe in the morning. You have to cut the grass. You have to take care of his things, wash his clothes on Saturdays and stuff. And then sometimes they say the cutting tail. The dormitory, we had the cutting tail issue, whereby they have to lock the dormitories and give people 25 strokes each, ask people to kneel to go on your knees for a very long period of time. So that's how our own cutting tail used to take place, because you remind me about that. So I just wanted to give you a small story about that. Thank you.
Oh my God! So they cut your tail.
I want for us to turn to the other speakers because they are just listening. And
Okay,
they may not be
because
familiar with our stories from
if he cut
our
other
past.
people's tails.
Yes. So I would have loved for Sister Ruth and the others to join the conversation. We'll come back to that on another day. So Sister Ruth, please, your turn to tell us about the psychological impact of bullying and the sexual harassment.
The psychological effect of bullying, I don't believe that the way a person dresses has an effect on sexual harassment. Sexual harassment to me is about power. And if someone feels like they can take your power away from you, they will. And it starts very incrementally. It starts with a little joke or a little something, and we allow that person to tell that joke, and we kind of giggle at it, even though we feel uncomfortable. And then they take the next step, until it turns into something where you believe it's your fault that this person is now harassing you. And then we feel like we can't go tell anyone because we believe we started this. And then you're under the influence and the power of that. When it comes to bullying, sometimes these people act like they're your friends. And then they inch by inch start diminishing you. And you keep thinking, well, they're my friends. So I just think they're being funny, and they're until it gets to the point where you're ready to kill yourself over things that people have said to shame you. Ambassador Lisa was blessed to know, can't nobody mess with me. I know who I am. When you don't know who you are, you fall for that stuff. And sometimes when the person is sexually harassing you, oh, you know, I'm just kidding. It's just a little joke here and there. Ha, 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 ha. And you may go report it to your superior. And, oh, you know how that guy is. He's been doing that for years. And until we nip it in the bud, it will always happen. Until we take a stand and say, no, that's not okay that you speak to me that way, or any other person, be it male or female, because women do the same thing. I mean, I'm not trying to make it like it's a man thing. Women and men do it. I tell people, evil goes where it's welcome. It doesn't care sexuality, color, race, doesn't matter. If evil is welcome, they're going to show up. It's going to show up. Our job is to empower ourselves and then empower whoever to say, no, this is not right. And when kids are bullied, they don't want to say anything because you go back to school, oh, you're just a sissy. You know, we were just playing with you. And then it turns into something else. We have to change the dynamic of how we handle each other, because we even handle each other with snide remarks and snide jokes and that type of stuff. And those snide things, when I was growing up, kids hit each other just playing around. My mother wouldn't allow us to do that because she said that's how it turns into something else. And kids are hitting each other, and our flesh cannot be denied, and it gets satisfied with the hitting with each other. Now we got to punch each other, and then we got to do something else. Sin is incremental. Bullying is incremental. It doesn't just happen like, boom, I'm being bullied today. It comes in as the guise of as a friend, comes in as a guise as a joke. Oh, you can't take a joke. And hazing, and what we call hazing in the United States, I don't get it either, Lisa. I'm not going to let somebody paddle my behind 50 times and think it's okay. I'm not going to let somebody have me drink a half a gallon of vodka and I end up with alcohol poisoning and dying. I don't understand it. But it happens, and it happens incrementally because these people are your friends and they wouldn't hurt you. But power is not about dress. Power is just about power. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to stop talking because someone else.
Because you said a mouthful. You've been preaching, girl, preaching good. But that was excellent.
Okay, Ambassador Lisa, over to you.
Sister Deborah, you have some comment? I'm coming to you, Apostle Angela.
Yeah, when you talk about how it affects people, it affects them. Some people go into self-loathing, they become introverted and have a total lack of trust of anybody and anything. And with what Ruth was saying about the college sororities doing their little hazings and whatnot, they go for it and go along with it because they want to belong.
Right.
Everybody wants to be loved and accepted. So they want to be accepted in that sorority. So they go for it, not realizing sometimes and understanding that it's a form of bullying. And people accept bullying for different reasons. Not saying that it's a good thing, because it's not, because it leads, even with that, it leads them to self-loathing. Because, I can't, I'm not good enough. I can't do this because I'm not the right type of person. I gotta be able to do this, that, or the other. So it's not a good thing no matter how you look at it. And it's the same thing with the sexual harassment. Sometimes they're too embarrassed to speak about what has happened, or they think that it's supposed to go that way. I once worked in an office where the man said, "Oh, don't worry about it. The clients come in and they want to touch your breast or feel you." Like, what? I was like, nope, that's not happening.
No, that is not.
That's not happening. So I'll see you later. Bye. But this is what his secretaries were in there for. Sexual harassment. I didn't understand it as that at the time, but yeah, I knew better than to stay there. That's for sure.
Oh, I would have stayed. I'd have kept my job, but they done went home with a. They said, "You put your hand over here, you going to pull back a nub," because I'd have chopped that sucker right off. Thank you.
Well, I was pretty young at the time, and I didn't have all the knowledge and wisdom that I have now.
Amen. Amen. Ambassador Angela, your take?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ambassador Lisa. Well, first, I just want to say the very first thing is that, yes, sexual harassment and bullying is about power and control. Power and control. It's not even about the sex. It's about power and control. And the psychological effects, I want to say too, there were several psychological effects mentioned, and another one I wanted to mention was eating disorders. Also come out of that because people try to self-medicate, and if it's not eating disorders, it's drinking or it's sex, it's being promiscuous. Those kind of things also come out of it. Cutting. A lot of teenagers cut themselves and physically harm themselves as a result of being treated this way. Children or young people, you know, even when we were all teenagers, you know, things that happen in your life are big deal. You know, you fall in love with the boy, you know, in your class, it's a big deal, right? And it's everything is a big deal when you're a teenager. Your hormones are and everything is out of control. It can be very difficult to manage your emotions and to manage being bullying as a kid. And so that's the, you know, one of the reasons is that they can't always avoid or manage their emotions and manage themselves. And it can be very difficult to escape them. I had a group of girls that bullied me when I was in junior high school, but a lot of them were in my class. You know, we all went to the same classes or the lunchroom or whatever, and it was not easy to avoid them. And so I was very small. Like my brother said, I was very small. I was, you know, the smallest little thing. I was a size 2 or 3, I think, forever. And I was a very petite little girl, and the larger girls picked on me all the time. And I didn't always have a way of escape. I wanted to say also too that, so when you're children, the point I'm trying to make about that is that they don't always have an escape. They don't always have the emotional and psychological tools to deal with the situation. Grown people, on the other hand, you know, I'm just thinking of Monica, that young lady with Clarence Thomas, who was, many of you will remember that back in the 80s, big case, a sexual harassment of Clarence Thomas.
Anita, somebody.
Oh, Anita.
Yeah, Anita.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember her.
Anita
big,
something, yes.
Yeah,
right.
Big case about sexual harassment. And oftentimes the reason that people get away with it too is because they know something about you and they can bring public shame and humiliation is a big deal. And it will keep many, I mean, that's why we have so many women who are suffering under domestic violence and stuff, because they're afraid to say anything because they don't believe they're going to be believed. The person who is taking advantage of them may be a prominent person, a powerful person, somebody that they believe that they're not going to be heard. And so they suffer in silence. So it goes across the board with bullying, with sexual harassment, the whole 9 yards. I worked for a very big company, for IBM, for many years, for over a decade. And I had a coworker who sexually harassed me. And like Lisa, though, I had enough self-worth and enough self-esteem about myself not to allow this man to take advantage of me. And I went to the proper authorities and followed through or whatever, you know. and tag this and stop the situation. But that's not always the case. Sometimes women are single mothers, they have kids, they can't afford to lose their job. They can't afford to just switch jobs, and they're at the mercy of some, narcissistic employer that's taking advantage of them. So it's never that black and white, just avoid or just leave. It's not that black and white, especially not for women. Because we've always suffered at the hands of disrespect and discrimination and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to say that it's a pervasive, it's prevalent. The cyberbullying is the same thing. The problem with technology now is that people can expose pictures, they can take videos of you in situations that you wouldn't want to be made public. And if you're an adult, it can ruin your reputation. It could cause you to lose your job. It can damage relationships, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Cyberbullying is a serious thing, especially for young people. Most of us, as Reverend Pam said, we know God, we have tools, we can pray. We've been built up to the point to be able to manage this. But for young people, that's not always the case, especially if they're already in a broken home and they're already being abused by somebody else. They're really at a disadvantage. So this is a big issue. And that's why it's a light is being shined on it right now.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me share.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you.
That's okay.
Dr. Angela. Yes, like she was saying, especially with our young people now, our young people are not growing up with the kind of parents we grew up with. The parents that were home, that, really poured into you, that told you who you were, that, you were amazing and you don't have to tolerate. And our parents were home. So if something happened to us in school, we went home and told our moms. It's not like our moms was at work and by the time we told them, they like, girl, I got to go to another job. And, so we did grow up in a different atmosphere. So one of the things that we have to do is really get in there and begin to pour into our young people. I'm always saying it's always about the young people. Those of us at our age, it's not a lot we can do, but if we can stop these things in our young people, then they have a chance of growing up and not, have effects. Connie, there.
Yes, Ambassador Lisa, who did you call upon? If not,
she called on Connie. I just want to just piggyback on what Ambassador Gracie said. Connie is still muted. It doesn't just happen with young people. We all saw this high profile, what was his name? Weinstein, the movie.
Yes.
Where actresses, I'm talking about big name celebrity actresses were facing the same. So it's all women. It doesn't matter at any age, they're facing, and it doesn't matter which industry sector it happens. But I think if we train our children at home, both male and female, from the home, to let them know they don't have to be at anybody's mercy. They don't have to take it, that it is not right, it is not acceptable, then I think we will put a dent to it. I think Dr. Santos beaming, but it happens in every industry. Back to you, Nia Song. I had to just weigh in.
Yes, I was going to put a general question, but I think Connie needed to speak. So we want to find out. Yes.
Still hasn't come on, so.
Yes, she hasn't come on yet. We want to hear from her. What's her take on the psychological impact of bullying and
there's Diana Mills
harassment.
Also. There's Diana Mills.
We want to hear from both of you, so we're going to need you to turn your
camera. Want to hear both of them. Turn your cameras on, or you're on mute, please. Or you're just listening. Okay, they are not unmuting or turning on their cameras, but I have this question. We've mentioned home many times, but what is the place of the home in raising children to be non-bulliers, if I can put it that way.
Bulliers,
people that do not bully, people that do not bully, people do not perpetrate sexual harassment on others. What can the home do that has not done so far in this day and age? Anybody can go.
Let's go with Dr. Martha first.
Okay.
Can you get me?
Yes, we're getting you.
Okay. The home is the first place where the training begins. What the child sees at home can affect the way the child behaves in the society. How do you, as parents, behave towards your children? How do you behave towards others, maybe your spouse at home? Because there are some children that, like, people forget about the bystander effects of bullying.
Right.
It must only be the bully, the victim, bully victim, but there is also the fact that it is long-term or short-term. And the fact that what the child sees, the child carries it throughout his or her life. How do you relate to the child? Even among the children, interpersonal relationship, how do the children relate to each other? I can remember growing up, I was the first, and I had my younger ones who sometimes be very rude to me, and my parents would support them. So you'll be like, it's okay for you to talk rudely to your sister, and they grew up like that. So the home should be the first place to mold the child, to learn to not to be a bully in the society, to point out those vices in the society. Let the child learn from the parents also. If you are telling the child not to be a bully and you are a bully, the child will copy from you. And the child will take that to school. Sometimes these children, their reactions in school are because of what their experiences back home. So the parents have an important role to play.
Yes.
And that is why it is important that when you are drawing up any program, any formal approach towards ending bullying, you should include caregivers, you should include parents, if it is a school, teachers, and even some students. Because if you ask the students questions, they will tell you that my father beats my mother, for example. My father insults my mother every day. So they see these things and they copy.
Right.
They copy and they bring to school. They don't know that it's bad because their parents are like role models. And they know that what they're learning from them is the right thing. So parents have an important role to ensure that bullying does not exist in their homes.
Yes.
Don't bully your child, because their parents will bully their children. There are many who bully their children. Come here, you long nose. Come here, long mouth. You are already making the child to understand that she's not beautiful or he's not handsome. And when the child goes now to school and the friends are reminding him or her truly that you have a big nose, the effects can be suicidal. Can be suicidal because there is denial. First of all, you deny yourself because you conclude you are not handsome or you are not beautiful. And then other things will begin to come in like depression, other things will come in like low self-esteem, self-doubt, even poor results, poor academic performance, could even lead to dropout from school. We've had situations like that. That's why it's good to involve parents in everything that you do against bullying. Why not even a sticker or flyers for students? You put on their back, I am not a bully. Every student has that. Or I say no to bullying. As they read, they will know, they'll understand that bullying is a bad thing. Are you a bully? No, I'm not. And the sticker is there, I'm not a bully. And it will go a long way to shape the society. And to,
Thank you, Dr. Martha. Thank you. We want to hear from Dr. Santos real quickly. He's got about, maybe 5 minutes before we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah, I will remember during one of my psychological classes, my instructors put a question on the blackboard. Is it the environment that influence the behavior of humans, or the humans that influence the behavior of their environment? That was a great one. And we had to write this essay and then after, when we were discussing our various responses, she said she simply gave this question because she was trying to test our knowledge on the psychological principle of nature and nurture. Nature and nurture. your upbringing determines to a larger extent, or your output in the society, or your outcome as a human being in the society is contributed primarily on how you were raised, how you were nurtured by your mother or your parents and the environment around you from childhood right up to later adulthood. We used to use this parable that they say, monkey do what monkey see. Monkey do what monkey see. If you were raised in a noisy environment, if you were raised in an environment where sexual abuse or bullying was considered a new normal, if you were you came out from a home of domestic violence, alcoholism, promiscuity, and other things, you may not see this as harassment. You may not see it as bullying, because this is the kind of life you have lived. And you see some of these aspects do later on transfer, or people who have lived this do carry it from one place to the other and form groups whereby they continue the same activity. Now you can see on social media whereby there are YouTube groups of unidentified persons with fake names who pick on a subject, on a particular individual, plan at a particular time, and appear on social media with a topic of a flyer made by somebody as a caricature. They can cartoon you, and they put you, and the topic of discussion is that day, and their intent is to scold you, to lessen your self-esteem. And this happens with people who are famous, who are like political, who are involved in politics, or like stars or celebrities. They scold them so as to lessen their output and to lessen their outward, their appearances onto programs, or to demean them, and to make them lose self-esteem and self-worth so that they can disappear in public eye. Some people who are like motivational speakers, some who make money, or famous people, or those who make money from outward appearances, intellectual speeches, and others become now so intimidated to continue their activity and to appear in public eye because they have been scolded or bullied, or they have been a victim of factitious sexual harassment, because there are some sexual harassment targeting some certain individuals for which it never existed. Women can come up, we have seen that, when a politician is about to run for presidential election, right? 72 women will gang up and say, in 1932, he sexually in 1955, right, they looked me with sexy eyes. In 19, right. I was somewhere when I came to this country in the United States. One lady told me I shouldn't look at the butt of a woman so much because I can be charged for sexual harassment for overlooking. So I have to turn my eyes wherever I see a lady. I don't have to look persistently for a longer period, because that is a crime. You have overlooked. So that's sexual harassment.
Lord help us. You know,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. Thank you, Dr. Santos. We are almost at the top of the hour. Diane, you got 1 minute, or would you rather wait till after the...
Ambassador Gracie's hand is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Dr. Gracie, we have 1 minute before the top of the hour, 2 minutes before the top of the hour.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I'll be real quick. So I forget, this was a professional person, a psychologist, a child psychologist. And I had read an article and I told my sister about it. One of the ways in which we can help train our children, you know how when you're raising kids, they're young, and you say, come over here, boy, and give me a hug. And you know how they get all squirmish. They don't want you to hug them. They don't want you to, to kiss them and all that. But we do it anyway. We make them come over and we grab them and we give them a big old bear hug and all the while they're squirming. They don't want to, they don't want to be bothered. When we do that to children consistently on a regular basis, we are training them that it's okay to cross their boundaries. We don't think in our culture and the African-American culture, we do it all the time. Yeah. And when I read the article, it was just so mind-bending to me. And I told my sister about it because she had a little boy our nephew was like 6 or 7 years old. And, you know, when they're at that age, you know, after they get to be a certain age, they don't want mommy kissing them all the time. And, you know, whenever his aunts and uncles come over, we grab him and want to hug him and kiss him. And he's busy trying to run as fast as he can. We have to be careful with those kind of things. Is what the psychologist was saying, that we teach them that it's okay for somebody to cross their boundaries and hug them or touch them or kiss them when they don't want to be hugged or kissed or touched at that particular moment. So anyway, when I told her about that, I kind of changed the way I interacted with him then. So then when I go over there to their house, if he doesn't want me to hug him, I don't hug him. And I just leave him be. So I just wanted to share that because I thought that was revolutionary, because in our culture, it's a normal thing, but we don't realize that we're training a behavior. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Dr. Gracie. Back to you.
Our anthem is buffering and it will be coming on shortly. Take a sip of water and please let's get back on the other side and continue the conversation.
Oh no. Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africaonline Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey. Africans for Africa. Africans for Africa. Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does. To identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone. If we believe prosperity for Africans, if we believe medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe stand up, Africa, yes. Africa Online Media Corporation. That's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story. The truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. That's our anthem, Ambassador Lisa. You see how much you missed. You see what you missed for those 3 weeks. You know, you missed out a lot. So just for the sake of the anthem, you should not miss any more shows. Okay. Next week, before we announce next week's topic, do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Santos, thank you for sharing this. We need everybody to share this. Ambassador Lisa, it's on your WhatsApp. Please share it with all your networks. Send it to Ambassador Gracie, Sister Ruth, Sister Deborah, everybody. But this is our sister organization. They're having their 3rd annual summit and charity ball on October the 8th to the 9th. The main day is the 8th. The 9th is for this breakfast, billionaire breakfast brunch for the sponsors. It's only $125. This barely covers the meal for breakfast and dinner. Now to talk about the entertainment, we're going to have a comedian there. We're going to have live musicians. We're going to have an opera singer. We're going to have, you know, a poet. It's going to be awesome. We're going to dance and celebrate. There'll be, well, let me just go down so this is the hotel where it's at. Atlanta Airport Marriott. 4711 Best Road, Atlanta, Georgia. And for more information, you can go to africasbrainbank.org. There's a press release that was incorporated here and our pledge. These are advertisements for people who cannot sponsor, and you can't beat this. You see, for print ads, you can advertise your business card for $125 only. Half a page is $250. 3/4 of page 500, full page 1,000. Inside cover 1,500, back cover inside 1,500, back cover 2,000. Video promo 30 seconds 125, 1 minute 250, 90 seconds 500, 2 minutes 1,000. And just know that this will be on our website. So we're talking about, you know, affordable advertisement. This is not a one-time thing. It'll be in the booklet that the people are going to take, but it'll also be on our website. So you can't beat that, you know. And then these are the event speakers. We have 14 amazing speakers. Africa's brain and Black brains will be on display. We have Sir William Mickey Stevenson, that's Motown's A&R man. That's the guy that discovered Stevie Wonder. Barry Gordy's right-hand man. The guy that worked with all the superstars, Motown superstars like the Diana Rosses, the Marvin Gaye, you know, Smokey Robinson. He just got inducted into the 2022 Songwriter Hall of Fame, and Smokey Robinson was the one that inducted him. That's how close they are. The Nigerian ambassador to the Nigerian Council in Atlanta, Dr. Ismaila, will be there. Multi-millionaire Douglas Eze will be there. Dola Vant, she's one of the people that turned the Flint, Michigan water problem into a solution. And of course, Africa's give to the world. Nigeria's greatest export, Richard Moffat Damijo, was also an Hollywood's icon and an attorney. He will be there flying straight from Lagos to Atlanta for this. And then we have all these other speakers. There's so many of them. I'm not going to read them. So in the morning, we're going to have speakers in the morning and at night. So the academic symposium will have 5 speakers, all academics, you know, and then in the evening, we're going to have the other speakers and also guest speakers, so and a keynote speaker. So these are the sponsorship levels. It tells you what you get for the sponsorship. You know, you can combine with some other people and get a sponsorship so you can attend the Billionaire Breakfast Brunch on Sunday morning. These pictures are from the inaugural event. That event was opened by Ni Asong. He was the one that opened that event, and we usually showcase books at our event. At the 2019 event, we showcased his book, Africa's Brain Power, which I had the privilege of doing the preface and editing the book. So these are the event coordinators, and you can also scan the QR code to purchase your ticket. So you can go to africasbrainbank.org for details. Please, you can purchase a ticket even if you are not coming, just to support. We have about 200 students coming from HBCUs in Atlanta. I found out that there were 5 HBCUs in Atlanta. So we have students coming from Morris Brown, we have students coming from Morehouse, we have students coming from Clark Atlanta University, and we're waiting on Spelman, but also Morehouse School of Medicine, and the ITC, they call it Interdenominational College, you know, Theological College, they will be there too. I met their president, so they are very excited. So sponsor a student. We're not asking the students to pay. We want them to come because they are the future, and they need to know the truth about themselves and about us and about our history. The theme is We Are One. That's the theme for this event. This is a must-attend event. I know Ambassador Lisa bought her shoes and clothes last year, so she is ready. But, you know, if you cannot come, support a sponsor, a student, you know, and you can advertise your business. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can advertise your business, you know, so this is a must-attend. And next week, Ambassador Lisa, I'll let you announce because you're bringing the guests, you're producing the show for next week. I'm going to hand over to you and I'll let you announce next week's topic. You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. I know this is our show and we can go over the time if we want to. We may need to.
Yes. Yes.
Reverend Pam just took up 12 minutes with advertising the conference, and we use that time to advertise all of our programs. So I'm going to, I don't have to talk about the gala. I'm going to talk real briefly about the Operation Borehole 55. We are so happy that our first project in Sierra Leone is complete, up and running, and we will be moving on to Kenya very shortly. But we still need your help because that's only 2 countries out of the 55. And we want to put a borehole in every country at a medical facility where there is no running water. It is government approved, treating patients, but they have no running water for cleanliness and health and hygiene. And also the borehole will also benefit the community in the village. We want you to go visit our website at www.africaonlinetv.org. You'll find a link to donate there, and you can donate any amount of money. You can do it monthly, you can do it quarterly, whenever you feel, yearly. You can make that great big deposit, but we need your help to help bless our children. We know how much water we use just brushing our teeth when we're running water, just brushing our teeth. Tell you, believe me, I've been on the continent for a very long time, for many years, and the water that we waste when we brush our teeth is the amount of water that most families use for an entire day. An entire day. 1 jerry can of water usually is about 3 or 4 gallons of water, and that's the amount of water the family has for washing, cooking, bathing, feeding the children, making dinner, and it's not very clean water at all. I've seen the rivers. It is not clean water at all. So come on and help us help our daughters and our sons on the continent of Africa. Also, next week's topic will be, because it's September, and September has got a lot of things going on, but two things that September has, or one thing that September has, it is National Literacy Month. That is National Literacy Month. And our keynote speaker, she has disappeared, but no, she's there. Our speaker for next week will be Minister Diane Mills, who is a champion for literacy. And we are excited to hear what she is doing and how we can be a blessing to help eradicate illiteracy on the continent and here in this country. So tune in next week at 4 o'clock for Minister Diane Mills as we talk about National Literacy Month. Now, Ania-san, the announcements.
Thank you very much. And I wouldn't dare myself into it, but I just have to do it briefly in a few seconds. Le mois d'octobre, le 8 et le 9 octobre, c'est Africa's Brain Bank. Le sommet se tiendra à Atlanta, l'Atlanta Airport Marriott, c'est le 8 et le 9 octobre. Soyez là, faites partie de cette occasion. C'est le troisième sommet de Africaonline, Africa's Brain Bank. Et puis, le deuxième, c'est Opération Borehole 55. Opération Borehole 55. Nous avons l'intention, on a commencé au Sierra Leone, on a déjà construit une adduction d'eau au Sierra Leone. C'est fini, c'est livré. Et maintenant, c'est le Kenya, le tour du Kenya. Donc, il faut donner un peu de sous pour qu'on puisse continuer à faire les constructions de 16 points d'eau, de l'eau potable, c'est-à-dire l'eau qui aide les centres de santé développés pour avoir de l'eau quand les femmes vont là-bas pour accoucher le bébé quand nous avons besoin. Et donc, c'est important. L'eau, c'est la vie. S'il vous plaît, donnez ce que vous pouvez. Faire votre don à www.africaonlinetv.org. So, Ambassador Lisa, let us continue the show. I know there is room for extension. So, where do we begin? With whom do we begin? So,
we start with
go ahead.
Diane. Let's start with
Yes.
Diane.
Unmute and contribute, please. Ambassador Lisa, is she there?
She's there.
Okay, please.
Do you have something you would like to share concerning harassment and bullying, sexual harassment and bullying, Minister Diane? Unmute.
I just think that you talked about a lot that bullying really starts when kids see other people bully, or it's just a trait in the family. It's a behavior that is learned for some individuals. And I just think that we just need to have more things that we can just teach them that that's not the way. And we have to teach them to love themselves. So a lot of people who bully need to love themselves, or they're not loved, and that's just a way of reacting. So self-esteem is key also with
Yes.
children, with bullying. So we have to do more self-esteem and self-awareness with our children. And that starts while they're young. So we can deter some of these things from going on.
Thank you. Minister Connie, I see you now. Would you like to share on bullying, either experience or have a comment on sexual harassment and bullying? You worked in a hotel for many years, and we know some of the things that go on with hotel workers. So you may have some stories to share. Minister Connie, unmute, please. There you go. Welcome. I can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you.
Mute to unmute.
She is unmuted. She
No, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. She's using a headphone, but can unmute yourself. No, she's muted back.
You're
Unmute
muted
yourself,
again.
please.
Unmute, Connie. There you go. We still can't hear you.
It's a headphone. It's a headphone.
Maybe you-
Okay.
Only thing I was going to say was the fact was, not at the hotel, but when I was working at the school, volunteering, we had a child. Reason why the child was bullied because the mother was an alcoholic, and the boy slept with his sister, and she had a wedding problem. In other words, she also had a mental challenge, and that's how the child was being bullied. And that's another thing I agree. They need to start at a young age to address that, because it was not the child's fault, because the fact was it was brought in that the child, the counselor was able to help the family. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wonderful.
And that's all I was going to say. It should start I agree, need to start at a young age, because they're going to be bullied on different fronts. Homelessness, they're being bullied because they're homelessness, because they come to school and they're homeless. They don't have, and that's even all the way to college. They don't have food or anything, but they're trying to get their education, trying to get their breakfast in the morning. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is very key. Very young, we need to begin to pour into our children. And one thing I don't understand about teachers, and I'm not a teacher and I'm not an educator in that respect, but I've always said that I would be the teacher who, before a new student came, if that child was handicapped, had a deformity, I would begin to share with my class that this child did not make themselves. This child has no responsibility for how they are deformed, why they are homeless, and let's make that child feel welcome. I don't understand why that's not a part of teachers' training, but we're not here to talk about teachers. We're just here to talk about bullying. But we need to be able to help educate our people on different ways in which they can begin to help their students. You can't teach a class when the class is unruly because the kids are picking on each other.
But Ambassador Lisa, that point you brought, that question is very important. It's a pertinent question, because the school can adopt that as part of orientation or onboarding. It's not just on the teacher, the school should do that. But I want to make a comment real quick. When Ambassador Grace, she's not here, she was talking about, Dr. Tan was talking about parents that call their children names, long nose or whatever. We all know of a celebrity who is of late now, I won't say his name, how the father used to talk about his nose, how big his nose was, even as handsome as he was and as wealthy as he was. In my opinion, he's the greatest musician that ever lived. But he kept doing surgery on his nose just because of what was told to him as a child. So it stays with the child, it destroys the child. And they spend the rest of their life trying to fix what you think was wrong with them. And to me, when I looked at him, he looked just handsome and just fine with the nose that God gave him, So I just want to say it goes.
You've muted yourself.
Sorry. No, I was just saying that it lasts with these children for life. These children don't forget, they remember. And you would think somebody of his caliber and his status, global celebrity, they will be happy with their nose. But they kept doing this surgery because the dad kept talking about how big his nose was.
Wow.
So we really need to be careful, parents. Proverbs 18:21 said, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Be careful what you say. You can use your tongue to destroy your children or to give them life.
Yes. Thank you, Reverend Pam.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Sure.
Today, when it comes to bullying, we have people who have been taken hostage, like held captive or prisoners in society, because certain people have nudes about them, nude pictures, nude videos. Some also who do plan cyber stalking, they go into like organizing on YouTube cartoons and flyers and organize live streaming about targeting certain personalities or certain important personalities or certain political leaders or our religious leaders and other persons of importance in the society. How can this be prosecuted, or how can this be stopped? Last few weeks, I consulted an attorney who told me that because whenever they organize this, it's an organized something. It's not done by one person. One of them who have you at heart, may come behind and indicate to you that there is about to be this activity about so and so. You need immediately to contact a therapist or a psychologist and a
Oh.
lawyer. A lawyer's job is to put in place a cease and desist order, a cease and desist order. And the psychologist may start intervening for stress related, because someone recounted to me that as soon as he or she saw a flyer about his name or her name that was supposed to be broadcasted at a certain time, she developed a panic attack. She developed a panic attack. And some people may have, they may collapse, or they may have a blackout, or they may go into depression and become suicidal or homicidal or whatsoever. So we need to know how to handle this thing. If you discover that you are about to be a victim or a victim, you must contact people who can help you for this situation. Don't stay with it to yourself. Don't lock yourself in a room, or don't kill yourself. That's just what I wanted to advise. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Santo. And let's go back to Sister Ruth. Yes, we are virtually at the end of our conversation, but we still have things that we've not spoken about. What is one thing you wanted to say that you have not said?
Are we taking, I'm sorry, are we taking the last round of the table?
No, just asking
Okay.
a question, open-ended question. What
Okay.
did you not say that you wanted to say?
Most of you know that I'm about nutrition. And if you're not feeding your brain properly, you will not perform properly. And oftentimes we're giving our children what I call non-food, because there's no such thing as junk food. It's either food or it's junk. And when you're giving your child junk, junk will come out. Real quick, there was a woman whose son was acting up really bad, and it was the coloring. The food colorings were messing with his brain function.
Wow.
And as she cleared out one at a time, she has a normal functioning child, but every single food coloring had a different effect on him. So you got to be wise as to what you put into this temple, because it is a temple, it's not a playground.
Amen. I like that. This body is a temple, not a playground.
Yes.
That's
I
not,
would like to chip in
not
something.
a playground for a village of fools
I
or
would love to
idiots.
chip in.
Yeah, I think Dr. Tar has something to add to that.
And Diana's hand is up also.
Okay.
I wish to add that it will be important for schools to adopt a bully-informed approach, where they will include the staff, the parents, the students, and train them on skills on how to handle bullying. Also educate them about the effects of bullying, and that will go a long way to help to make the school environment safe for the students. And they also help to reduce bullying-related triggers on campus, and also help to draw up some behavior plans. This will go a very long way to help the students, since their parents are also involved and caregivers are also involved. Yeah. And I'm also not of the opinion that bullying or sexual harassment could be triggered. It can happen anywhere. If you look at some situations where you ask yourself, if somebody rapes a toddler, how did that trigger a rape? So it's something that can happen anywhere. Sexual harassment can happen anywhere. Bullying can happen anywhere. Somebody can just see you passing by the road and throw something. We hear things like Eboa for somebody with a disability and all those.
That's true. Eboa Latin was a disabled musician in Cameroon, so that the others know who Eboa means.
That's bullying. That's bullying.
Or it's like calling a blind child here, Charles Ray, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate, you know, because on the continent, they call you by what you do, you know. So you see the banana lady and you want bananas, you just say, hey, banana girl. Or the grasshopper, the guy selling grasshoppers or the eggs. So you're going to be calling that person by what they do, and it's not right. I mean, yes, if I need to get the banana girl's attention, that's why I have to call her, because that's what she's going to. But we should not be saying things that are negative. We should only be that which is positive, and we need to begin to share that with our, our contacts, with the parents and the families that we have influence in. Speak positive.
Yes,
Diana's hand is
I
up.
think Dr. Diana's hand has been up for a while. So Dr. Diana,
Yes,
please,
Dr.
over to
Diane.
you.
She's muted. She's muted.
I just wanted to say that with our kids now, that what we're doing, and especially in daycare center, we're letting them read books that express how people are different. So we're putting it in, we had an author one day that did My Family is Different. So it covered every child with a disability, or whatever it was covered. So kids can see that they can identify with things and it's okay, because everybody is different. Everybody doesn't have the same thing. So they can be addressed with those type of issues. And I just think, going back to again, I just think that kids should be involved in it at a younger age.
Very young, yes.
Yes, and it can start with reading, even in the daycare centers, which they are doing it. They're starting to do that. So it's called inclusion. So they are including those things, so no child will be left out. So
that is a good point. And also sensitizing children and exposing them to the diverse global community. I say this because one of my siblings studied in China in the 80s. And they went on an excursion to a village where the children have never seen a Black person before. And he was like 6 foot, I think he's like 6'3" now, So, Chinese people are not that tall. So when the kids in that village saw him, they went berserk. They were crying because they had never seen somebody with that color and that height. So as you're saying this now, I know we are more connected now than we were in the 80s.
Yes.
But sensitizing these children and what you guys are teaching your children, how people are different, is very important. Even shades of skin colors. Let people know that we're all human beings. It doesn't matter how dark you are or how fair skin you are, we're all human beings. That's very, very important. I think we can take a round.
Yeah, I think we can do it around the table.
Talking of which, before we take the round, I just want to say, talking about education, I happen to be in education, unfortunately not on the continent, but the school system in which I work has trainings in the summer for all parents and all students, and there are handbooks for all students to learn about bullying, to learn about sexual harassment. So all those are ingrained in my school district, and we make it religiously to make sure that parents do the training, visitors to the school system take the training if they have to accompany kids on any field trip. You cannot go on a field trip with kids without doing the training. So we have that in my school district, and I'm proud of that. And I just wanted to say that. And to take a round of the table, I think I'm going to start.
Real quick, you just reminded me of something important. Even in the medical profession and maybe other professions now, to renew your license, they are requiring you to take continuing education hours in sexual harassment, mental health, and diversity, which I think is very important. I'm talking about they're making it mandatory. So there is hope. There's really hope, because if you're in the health profession, you need to know how to handle different kind of people from different culture, different backgrounds, different age groups. So, but those things now are, and even trafficking, human trafficking, that's another one that is being required for you to renew your life, continue education. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much. And we'll go from across the continent back to the continent. So we start with Dr. Ta back in the continent. When we say the continent, we mean the continent of Africa.
This has been a very good topic, and there are some things that we do that we take for granted, maybe because of our background. So when people listen to topics like this, they learn a lot. They learn a lot. They begin to see where there are shortcomings, where they're not being real, where they have been bullies, especially, and even knowing the limits, where one ends and where the other begins. Also with sexual harassment. it is very important to understand the psychological effects and to understand also that there are not only psychological effects, the physical effects, the emotional effects, and more to this topic. So we just decided to take one aspect of it to work on the psychosocial. It's also there. The social effects are really enormous. So it's a great topic, and it is very educative. And it's very important to do anything one can do to limit bullying and sexual harassment in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please check the chat room for links that are being posted by different speakers or by different participants. I'll turn to Sister Deborah. Please, your last word before we call it off.
I also believe that these are subjects that we need to delve into more with our children, with our teachers, and our medical people, because sometimes they overlook a lot of things because they're not looking for the symptoms of what's going on. Self-loathing, being an introvert, not wanting to talk to people, and just untrustful of people, and all those things can stem from being bullied and sexual harassed, especially with the young children. You can see the changes in their behavior and attitude, and that should alert parents to the fact that something else is going on. And sometimes parents overlook those things because they don't know what they're looking for.
Or what they're looking at.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So we have to become more aware and more knowledgeable of these situations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We turn to Dr. Diane. Please, your last word as we wrap up our discussion.
I just believe that if things are to change, we just have to make the difference and do what we can do in our own community, in our own surroundings to make these changes for our children and people who are being harassed, sex trafficking, whatever we can do, we do it to the best of our ability.
Thank you very much. Sister Ruth, I see you posted something in the chat. Can you speak to that and then give us your last word?
What I posted in the chat was just a link to the stopbullying.gov. That's what's in the link.
Awesome.
And your last word?
My last word is never feel ashamed. Speak up, speak out. Do not feel ashamed.
Shame is not our portion.
That's right. Thank you very much. And Sister Connie, is she still in the house? Yes, I see her there. Your last word, please.
Take off your headphones.
Hello? Yes, I see you now. But we don't hear you, please.
She's having audio issues.
Yes.
She can put it on the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put your last word on the chat box. Yeah, so let's move on.
Okay, Ambassador Lisa.
Thank you so much. My last word on the subject is, let's begin to prepare our children for a global future. Give them positive affirmation. Tell them how much they are loved, how much they're appreciated, how beautiful they are. Let's build our children's self-esteem so that when they get older, their self-esteem will not be low and they will not give in to bullying. Therefore, they will not commit suicide. Also, I'm putting in the chat box about the Multiput protocol. We want everybody to grab hold of it, study it, read it, and then share it with other people, especially on the continent, because it has now been ratified by almost every country on the continent. I think it's 48 out of the 55, where they don't have to put up with this gender-based violence. They don't have to put up with sexual abuse anymore. And I'm pretty sure it's going to cover bullying and harassment as well. But when a person knows their rights and their benefits, they can assert them. But when you don't know you have rights, when you don't know you have benefits, you have nothing to stand on. So we want to make sure that every woman, every girl child, even every boy child knows their rights and they don't have to tolerate bullying or sexual harassment. That is my last word on the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Lisa. We turn now to Dr. Santo. You have been our main guest. You're always available. We like that very much. Your last word on sexual harassment, or rather the psychological impact of sexual harassment and bullying.
My last word will be that for professionals, it's very important. And I know the laws of every state require that after your studies of your curriculum, prior to licensing, you must take courses in jurisprudence and ethics. And all that is all what is called professional development, understanding boundaries, sexual harassment at workplaces, how you don't fall a victim. And also I advise all the students who are coming in for residencies, like I had one yesterday, professional development, boundary setting is very important. So every professional should learn about this so that we try to minimize or we stop these activities at workplaces. And also for the social media persons, we've given you people the resources, who to talk to, how to avoid all of these, and that was very important. And I don't have much to say again other than we go about it with care, diligence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Pam. It is your turn now.
Yes, I really want to thank everybody. Dr. Santos, you're not a guest. You have been so loyal. And I dare to say that presidential award is because of all your years, 6 years of speaking on this channel, sharing your knowledge and helping. You were part of us before you got your doctorate. So you are a pillar in this organization. Thank you so much. And congratulations once more on your presidential award. You know, I want to thank all of you. This is our thing, it's for our people. You know, we're bringing all Africans online. Please share the Facebook link, send people to the Facebook page. We've been doing this for 6.5 years. We've transformed so many lives. Unfortunately, we're not trying to get an award here. We just want to keep raising awareness about issues that affect our people, seeking solutions to those issues so we don't track our impact, but the impact is happening. Your time here is not wasted. Please invite somebody to the show, send them to the website. We need sponsors, not just for the borehole. We have bills. We have to pay for this Zoom. Zoom is not free unless you just get it for 40 minutes. We are here 90 minutes minimum every week, you know, and we have a website, you know, that needs to be managed and paid for. So we have other bills, even though we are volunteers. So we need support. And we want to thank all those who've been supporting us. But as far as this topic goes, to victims of bullies and sexual harassment, know that you don't have a problem. You are not the problem. The perpetrators are the problems. The perpetrators need help. They have a void in their life and they are cowards. That's why they are doing what they're doing. Don't take it, don't tolerate it. I don't care if you're a single mother and that's your only job. Don't tolerate it. It is not acceptable. It's unacceptable. Reach out to these links that have been posted here. Go on the internet, look for help, report it to the authorities, report it to your seniors. If your boss is the perpetrator, you can go to the labor department and report them there. We want to thank all of you and we'll see you next week. And please go buy your ticket. Go to africasbrainbank.org and buy your ticket, advertise, sponsor a student, sponsor the event. We want to encourage our HBUC students, and we're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. So whatever donations you make, they are tax deductible. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being a part of the show today. We look forward to next month, which is September. So please, this is the last Sunday of August. If I'm not mistaken, we'll be in August. And please think literacy. Are you literate in a language, literate in English, literate in Spanish, or whatever? Are you able to read and write? Thank a teacher for that. And have a good week till next week. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.